Good morning. On Thursday, it's, I think, the third Thursday of the month, but generally on the third Thursday of the month, and certainly today, we have our SaaS Features webinar. We'll begin in about 2 minutes to give folks some time to join the stream if they're finishing up another meeting. So we'll play about 2.5 minutes of music, and we'll get started then. If you're watching this on the replay after we're live, you can just fast forward 2.5 minutes, and we'll get started then. Hi there. Welcome to today's session. I'm Jonathan Westerling, Manager of Special Programs for the Google SaaS team. Today, we're diving into 2 new features that we just released this week. Plus, we'll do a little overview on payments that should be good information for both new customers and existing customers. And hopefully you can see the agenda now. So let's look at what we're going to do. First, we're going to look at deregistering a device that's not responding. We use that. We now have a way to do that in the SaaS portal. The next thing is a new functionality, which we've added to the History tab. We'll review the tools to check your billing and SaaS usage and pay your invoices. And we'll do a live demo for each of these 3 topics. So we'll run through everything quickly, and then we'll do a live demo of what they look like as you're using them. You can follow along too. We do these live on the third Thursday. We announce them in our newsletter. So if you're not already a subscriber to our Google SaaS newsletter, you'll want to go ahead and do that. From our website, you can also sign up for these webinars. There's a calendar entry that you can subscribe to that will let you know when they are scheduled. We generally try to do them the third Thursday of every month. If you're joining us live, welcome. You can ask questions if there's something that I haven't been clear about in the chat on YouTube. And if you've never used chat on YouTube, on your first try you might see a message asking you to create a channel. Don't worry, it's just asking you to set up a YouTube identity. It won't ask you for anything more than your name. Type in your name and then you'll be able to send a question in the chat. And please remember there's a 30-second delay or so in the broadcast. So when you type in your question, sometimes there's a delay between the time that you type it and the time that I see it. So appreciate your understanding on that. So let's dive in. If you logged into the SAS portal this week, you probably saw this pop up, which is telling you about the 2 new features that we released, and we'll take a look at both of these new features now. The first one is deregistering a device within the SAS portal. And imagine a situation where you have a CBSD that's not responding. You've lost connectivity to it, but you still see it in the SAS portal. In other words, it's still connected to the SAS, still registered, but you don't have a way to contact it. And in this situation, as well as a couple of other situations, you might want to force the deregistration of this device. The main reason you'd want to do that is so you don't have to pay for this CBSD or CPE. Because as you know, if the device is registered with SAS, you're paying per day for that device. It's not a huge amount of money, but you don't want to have to pay if that device is not functioning out there and you don't have a way to deregister it. So we've created a way to do this right in the portal. Previously, you had to contact our support department. Now you can do it yourself. But remember, you are always better to deregister from the device itself. So this is not the new way to deregister devices. You should always make the CBSD do the deregistration, the CPE do the deregistration if it is able to do it itself. It's always going to work better by deregistering in the SAS portal. Sometimes you can flummox a device even further, and you don't want to do that unless it's absolutely necessary. So you simply click the 3-dot menu when you're editing when you're looking at the device in the SAS portal and select deregister. It's that simple. So I will show you a demo of how that works later, and we will get into to that as well. But a couple of other things we want to look at and just go over briefly before we get into the demo. The next is the other feature we released this week, which is in the History tab. And before this, the tab only showed grant history. And now we show much more. We show almost everything you'd want to know about a CBSD's life cycle. And you can customize the range. Right now we have 30 days available, 30 days of history, but that hopefully is going to increase in the future. But for right now, you can customize the date range that you're looking at. You can also download the entire history as a CSV file. And that CSV file will contain all of the columns that you see here in terms of the information about that CBSD and any notable things that have happened in the last 30 days. All that will be, all these items, if they happened in the last 30 days, will be in that CSV file that you can download and then analyze. So a lot of extra information now for you to do device troubleshooting on your own, for example, is now available through the SAS in case you don't have it through your own control software. And as a tip, I'll remind you that all of the items that you see here, the reasons for the suspension, for example, here, IAP pending, all these, Table Mountain Quiet Zone, all of these topics, if you search for them in our support center, in the Google Help Center, you will find more information about these topics as well. So don't hesitate to use support.google.com, our help center, to search for these keywords and learn more about what these events mean. And between the History tab and our Help Center, hopefully we can help you get to the bottom of whatever it is that's causing a problem with a particular CBSD. And again, I will demo that in just a second. We have one more thing to go through briefly before we get into the demo, and that is a very important topic, which is billing. Billing and payments, more specifically payments. So just as a review, before we dive into invoices and payments, let's review how the SAS charges for its usage. There's 2 billing modes in SAS. The first is fixed wireless, and with fixed wireless, you pay for each CPE CBSD. Base stations that are only used for fixed wireless are free of charge. So for fixed wireless, you're paying for each CPE. Whereas if you're a mobility or private LTE customer, you're paying for each CBSD, each base station. And the cost for each base station is based on the CBSD category. We have category A and category B devices. So depending on which billing mode you selected when you were onboarded, you will have different methods of getting charged for Google SaaS. I'm monitoring the chat, and I see Victor Ignacio has asked a question about the previous slide. Sorry, Victor, I just noticed this. Can you download history on a network level or only at a CBSD level? Great question, Victor. It is at a CBSD level. You download the history for each specific CBSD, and I'll show you that in the demo coming up. Thanks for joining us live and for asking your questions. If others have questions, if you have questions about what I'm talking about, throw it there in the chat and I will do my best to answer it live. If you're watching this on the replay, this video will be posted on our channel afterwards. If you're watching this on the replay, you can ask questions to sas-support@google.com and they'll be happy to answer questions for you, or you can check out the Help Center that I mentioned earlier. Now, getting back to the billing modes, I mentioned there's 2 billing modes, so depending on what type of customer you are, you're going to get different types of charges. And the billing rates are probably the most frequent question that I see asked when a new customer gets their invoice for the first time. So let me run through this. We do have a separate video on SaaS billing where I went through that. You can look in our YouTube channel and find that video. But I'm going to give you sort of the high-level overview right now. For billing, the unit price is actually per day. And that's a key thing to remember because we show you the price per month when you sign up on our website. Or in your contract, because it's just easier to show the price per month. But actually, the unit price is per day. So when you get your invoice, it's going to show you a per day price. So let's run through an example here. Let's say the example price per device for you is $2.25. Well, that's the price per month. So to figure out the price per day, we take $2.25, multiply it by 12 months, and then divide by 365 days in the year. So $2.25 is the price per month, multiply it by 12 months to get the price for the full year, and then divide by 365, and that's the price per day, and it works out to this number here, 0.07. So it's 7 cents per day per device, and that's the number that you see on your invoice. So people will get their invoice and they'll say, oh, 0.07, what is that? Well, if you do the math and it works out, actually that's the price per day. And remember that with Google SaaS, you pay for each day the CBSD has been registered with the SaaS for more than 30 minutes. So billing is prorated for each day. Once that CBSD is connected for 30 minutes, it counts as a day of usage on the SaaS, and then you're charged that unit price. And that's what you see on your invoice, the total number of device days times the unit price per day. That equals your bill for each month. I'll get into how those bills are sent in just a moment. Now, if you have questions about this, or if you really want to dive into analyzing your billing, you can ask for a usage report. And this, Victor, is available for your entire network. So hopefully this is this is different than the CBSD history. We'll put it that way. But you can ask for our SaaS support team for the usage reports for the registered days per CBSD. You'll get a big CSV file, as big as your network is, with each CBSD and showing the total number of days it was registered with Google SaaS. And that helps fill out the information that's in that invoice. We don't include that in the invoice because it might be huge for certain customers who have thousands and thousands of devices. So, but we do allow you to ask for that if you need it. If you want to really get detailed, you can ask for those usage reports. Contact our support department at sas-support@google.com. And that's the billing rates. Now, once we've got our one more thing. You can, if you want to know, if you are curious about a specific device's billing mode in the SaaS portal, it's actually in the config tab. I'm just showing this here because it may not be immediately obvious to everyone. The CBSD category, if you're a mobility customer, is A or B. That's shown as CBSD category. And fixed wireless customers are billed on the radio type, whether it's a base station or a CPE, and that's under the radio type designation in the SAS portal. So for each device, you can go in, check the CBSD category and radio type to see what each device, how each device is being billed. Now, invoicing. Invoices are sent via email at the beginning of the month to the billing contacts in the Google Payment Center. We'll get to the Google Payment Center in just a moment. But it is important to know that those emails are sent from payments-noreply@google.com because that email address might not be on your allow list of your email program. So if you haven't been receiving email invoices and you are an existing Google SaaS customer, the first reason for that is you may have not allow listed payments-noreply@google.com. It's important that you do that. And if you're watching this as a SaaS customer, go ahead and make sure that that address is going to make it through your spam filters or whatever filtering you may have in place. I mentioned the Payment Center is payments.google.com. I'm going to go into some detail about that and show you how that works in the live demo in just a moment. But you can log into the Payment Center to see your month-to-day usage, as well as downloading invoices if you didn't get them by email. A reminder that our payment terms are net 30, and you pay either by just sending us a check, or you can also do a wire transfer if your company prefers to do it that way. And all the information about how to pay the invoice is on that PDF that's emailed to you or that is downloaded from the Payment Center. So, and of course, you can also, if you are totally stuck, you can ask for invoices from our support team. But suffice to say, I'm showing you some ways to go in and I'm going to show you the way, to go and get that invoice yourself in the Payment Center. We're going to go through that today. The emailed invoices is the primary way that you get your invoices. The trigger for getting an invoice for new customers, if you're a new customer, remember this. If you're a new mobile customer, as soon as your first CBSD registers with us, that will begin your billing. And the following month, on the first of the month, you'll get your first invoice from us. If you're fixed wireless, you can set up all the CBSDs you want, all the base stations you want, because your billing is actually based on CPEs. So it's when your first CPE registers with Google SaaS that you will begin your billing, and the following month you will get your first invoice from us. If you haven't accumulated any charges for the month, you will not be sent an invoice. It will not. We do not email you a $0 invoice. You only get an invoice when you've accumulated usage or a charge for your SaaS usage. So who gets this invoice? Each verified billing contact receives an email, and the email looks like this, the graphic that you see on the right. It says your documents are ready, and the latest invoice for, well, it would be your company. In this case, Google Demo is the demo company that I'm showing today, and it gives you the invoice number, and it's attached to that email. And the key word here is it's a verified billing contact. I'm going to show you how that verification happens in just a moment, because only once you've verified your email address does it send those invoices out. And by default, the billing contact email is the person who signed up for Google SaaS. So the head of the company or whoever was responsible for doing the Google SaaS onboarding is probably the default person whose email was put into the Payment Center. And if they verified their billing contact, then they're the one receiving those invoices. But if that's not the way it's set up and your setup is all different, let's show you how to fix that in the Payment Center. And if you don't have access to the Payment Center, payments.google.com, here is how that works. When you signed up for Google SaaS the first time, the person, as I just told you, the person who was responsible for signing up for Google SaaS actually got this email sent to them from the Payment Center. And the subject reads, action required for your Google account, which doesn't say anything about Google SaaS, but because you're logging in, you're actually becoming a customer of Google, we create a Google billing account for you. And again, sent from that same email address, you want to make sure you whitelist payments-no-reply@google.com. So as part of the onboarding, this email is sent. It can also be resent on demand by support, but it is really important that you click on this accept button here. If you don't click on the accept button, it doesn't validate your email address and will not send you invoices. So you have to click this accept button as part of your SaaS onboarding when you're joining Google SaaS. If you're watching this and you're just going through this process, make sure you look for this email and click accept. If you never got this email, the SaaS support team can resend it to you. Look for this email, click accept, and at that point, and only at that point, will the payment center begin sending you those invoices because it knows it has your email address correct. Now, once you've accepted the invitation, you can log into the payment center and add additional email addresses there as well. So, for example, your AP department or anyone else that needs to get that monthly SaaS email invoice, you can add those in yourself in the payment center. And I'll show you how that works in just a moment. A couple of things to keep in mind about the payment center. If you go to payments.google.com and you don't see anything about Google SaaS, it might be because you're logged in under your personal account. We do see this fairly frequently. So make sure you're accessing payments.google.com from your company Google account, the account that's actually responsible for Google SaaS. Your SaaS usage and invoice information are located under the services. So it's actually here, subscription and services now combined together. So you click on subscription and services, and that's where you will find your Google SaaS information. And again, contact support if your invitation expired or if you're having any access issues. If you go to payments.google.com, you don't see any information about SaaS and you've double checked that you're actually accessing it from your company Google account, contact our SaaS team. They can help you. There's also support in the payments center itself, which can help you as well. I'll show you all about that as part of our live demo. So let me switch now to our live demo, and I'm going to do that. I'll just quickly mention I do sometimes, as I'm switching screens here, have the stream drop out. If I drop off of the stream here for just a moment, I'll be back in a second. I just have to reconnect. So apologies in advance if that happens, but I'm going to now go ahead and try to switch live. And my little laptop's going to complain, but now it's hopefully showing you our SaaS portal. So we're going to start by a demo of, we're going to demo all three things that I just showed you. The first thing we're going to demo is deregistering a device. So I'm going to do that. If you have questions as we go again, pop them into the chat. And if you are not joining us live, why not join us live on the third Thursday of every month? Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Click the red subscribe button to be alerted when we have new live webinars coming up with new features. Every time we release new features or for various other topics, we do these live webinars so you can see and experience and have a chance to ask live questions. So for those of you joining us live, thanks for joining. Let's look at the deregistration, and for this we're going to actually zoom into Hot Springs, South Dakota. And in Hot Springs I have 3 devices, and this guy here in the middle is, it turns out, not responding, and I just can't connect. I'm going to have to do a truck roll to go out and figure out what's going on. In the meantime, I'm going to deregister this device from Google SaaS so that I don't have to pay for it while it's offline. So I click to select the device, and then click on the Device tab. You'll notice by default that the CBSD is locked. So I click the little lock here to unlock that CBSD and make changes. Once I've unlocked it, I can click here on the 3-dot menu, and the 3-dot menu gives me the option of deregistering the CBSD. If I click on that, I get a confirm action pop-up. I'll read it in case it's really small on your screen. This action is only recommended if you cannot deregister the CBSD via the device itself. Once deregistered, an active CBSD will relinquish all grants and must stop transmitting within 5 minutes. Are you sure you want to deregister this CBSD? So that warning comes up to remind you about two things. First of all, you're going to lose all of your grants. And second of all, that CBSD, even if it is providing service, is going to have to stop transmitting within 5 minutes. And presumably, if it was correctly made, it will do that once you click OK. So I'm going to click OK, and that CBSD will go away the next time I log in. It takes a few minutes to do so, and then it will disappear here from the SAS portal. You have a refresh button up here, by the way. Now, you don't have to refresh your whole browser. You can just refresh the sites here within the SAS portal now if you want to refresh. And that's how easy it is now to deregister a device. No more contacting our support department. If you have any questions about that, you can pop them into the chat. Otherwise, I'm going to continue, and we're going to look at device history. And for device history, I'm going to go to a different part of the US. I'm going to go to Longmont, Colorado. And here in Longmont, we're right adjacent to what's called the Table Mountain Quiet Zone, which is a radio quiet zone that has a bunch of restrictions on it. And I've put this device here specifically because it had a lot of difficulties getting on the air. And in fact, it's still suspended. So I'm wondering what's happened with this device. I click on it, and again, click on the device itself, and then over here on the History tab is where we have all the information. And here I have all the information about what happened as I tried to register this particular device. Suspensions, heartbeats, failed grant requests, all that information is here in the History tab. The download button is right here. If I click the download button, it immediately downloads a CSV with all that information in it that I can open up in my favorite spreadsheet program, easy for me to say. Now, this is what it looks like when a CBSD is having trouble. But what does it look like when something's going well? Well, in that case, I'm going to go to Salt Lake City. And we'll pull up our friends in Salt Lake City, where we have these two devices here. And this guy is doing just fine. And for the History tab, no news is good news. No events within the given time span means that there have been no issues apparently with this device. We're not logging every heartbeat here. We're only logging things that are problematic. So if you see an empty CBSD history, according to Google SAS, that CBSD is either not on the air. In this case, this has stopped heart beating for some reason. But there have been no events. It was heart beating on Tuesday, so there's nothing to see here. And that means that everything's fine with this particular CBSD. And that is device history, which now includes much more than just grants. If you have questions, pop them into the chat. Otherwise, I'm going to switch over now to our payment center and show you how the payment center works. And I'm going to do that again, hoping that my little laptop doesn't complain too much. Hopefully you're seeing the payment center now. When you log into the Google Payment Center, this is what you should see if you have some services. And presumably you'll see your SAS services here. If you have other Google products, you'll see them also included in this view here. As I mentioned during the slide presentation, you will find your Google SAS information under Subscriptions and Services. Click on this, and then here is the SAS service. Each one is in its own little square here. This one I happen to have called SAS Demo, but it should say the name of your company, or I think it will say SAS Monthly Billing, for example. So I click Manage, and then I see all the information about this specific service, in this case, Google SAS. On the left-hand side, I see some transactions, and as part of the transactions, it shows me the month-to-date usage. In this case, I refreshed my usage on the 24th. That's today. So here's the amount of charges that I have for June so far. And this is updated every night. So you can see your month-to-date SaaS usage. If you want to download the invoices from previous months, those are located here on the right-hand side. You can view all of your invoices that are outstanding. And once you select an invoice, it pops it over on the right-hand side and shows you information about that invoice. Above is where you download it. See this little actions pull down here? When I click on that, I can select download and download a copy of this invoice. If I didn't get it by email, or if I want to have if I lost it, whatever, just download. And I get two options to do the download. I can either download it as a CSV or as a PDF. And when you click download, it downloads it to your download folder. And there's nothing exciting there. It's just an empty tab that pops up. So that is how you download a copy of your invoice in the Payment Center. But the other important thing that you will need to do is probably add additional accounts into your payments so that they can also get those invoices. So let me show you how to do that. You go here under Settings, which is the rightmost tab. And in Settings, you have, if you scroll down, you have a list of users. In this case, you can click, if you want to add somebody new, you click Manage Payments Users, and then add a new user. Enter their contact information here, and then click the Invite button. The Invite button sends them that email that we showed you on the slide earlier, asking them to validate their email address. And it's important that they open, whoever it is that you're adding has to open up that email and click Accept. Once they click Accept, then they will be able to access the Payments Center, and also they will receive the emails, assuming you can actually set the email preferences here. All payments, administrative or no payments at all. If for some reason you don't want them to get the invoices, but depending on how you set these preferences, they will also then get the monthly invoices sent to them as well. And that's how you add an additional user in the Google Payment Center and download your invoices as well. And that's what the Payment Center looks like. Go check it out yourself if you have never logged in. And if you have questions about the Payment Center, by the way, you've got this little question mark here in the upper right-hand corner, which has help and support within the Payment Center itself. There's also plenty of documentation in Google's Help Center about using the Payment Center. That's all, if you run into problems there, you can go through that documentation and see if you can figure out the problem, or contact the support if you need some extra help. So that is the Payments Center. If you have any other questions, please pop them into the chat now. We're a little over. I was hoping to keep this to half an hour, but we've gone through everything that I wanted to go through. I want to remind you again about our YouTube channel with lots of content about SaaS and CBRS. Do click that red subscribe button so you can be notified about new videos and these live sessions when we have them. And I will certainly thank all of you for tuning in. If you are a Google SaaS customer, a prospective Google SaaS customer, hope this was useful information to you. Every time we launch new features, we try to tell you more about them here in this live format where we can do the Q&A. And of course, post this video so you can see it on our channel afterwards. So that link will remain for the next several weeks. And then you can always find all of the past videos just by going to the SaaS channel on YouTube, the Google SaaS channel on YouTube. And Mike Atkins says, thank you for the walkthrough. Have a great day. Well, thank you, Mike. Appreciate your joining us live, and appreciate your being hopefully a Google SaaS customer. And we will see all of you next week. Next month at this same time, probably the third Thursday, if everything goes according to plan, for the next Google SaaS webinar. I don't know yet what that topic will be. I'm not able to let you know, but you'll hear about it in our SaaS newsletter. And of course, if you just put that invitation in the newsletter, click on that calendar invitation in the newsletter, and then add that to your calendar, you'll be alerted. It will appear on your calendar, and you can click and join us live and ask questions if you have them, just like Mike and Victor did today. So thanks very much, everybody. And I will conclude this month's SaaS webinar, and we'll join you next month with more great features. Thanks for being a Google SaaS customer. Stay safe, be well, and we'll see you next time.